Welcome to the Business Blast Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with the support you need to finish your book. Best part is, after you finish your book, they take care of the entire publishing and marketing process 100% for you. So, if you want to become a successful author, make sure to check out authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today, I have Ken Barton with us. He's the founder at MinnoTank. So welcome to the show, man.
Hey there, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Grateful to have you here. We'll jump right into the first one, Ken. The first one I have for you is, what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
All right, Tyler. So I'll try to keep this short because I tell the story quite often. It's a big part of my life. So I had the great opportunity when I was going to community college in Florida to be selected to represent our community college to visit China. We were in an accounting program, and we were doing an exchange program for 8 of our students and 8 of theirs. 8 is a lucky number in China in Chinese, if you didn't know. And so cut that story a little shorter. I arrive in China. I'm falling in love with it. I'm super interested. And the moment that it hit me, the valuable underlying message kind of hit me was, I'm on a bus from Tianjin, which is a far northeast city, to Beijing, which is the capital of the country. It's about a 4-hour bus ride. And while all my classmates are playing Angry Birds and scoffing and complaining about the lack of cheeseburgers and French fries, I am glued to the window. And I'm staring out this window, and I'm trying to count the number of construction cranes that I see. And it was well over 1,000. And so here I am, a small town boy from Orlando, Florida. I might have seen 5 or 10 construction cranes in my entire life, looking at the future. Essentially, I was seeing, I'm staring at the future in its face. And that changed my life. And then I realized I need to go study Mandarin, and I need to have a kinship with this country and this language, because I know it's going to be a huge impact forever, because I can see the development. So my underlying valuable message would be, when you see these opportunities and you see these industries growing, and this is transmutable to many industries, right? If you see real estate opportunities, or maybe you see blockchain opportunities, or you see that you look at the stock market, you see that FANG and you see that Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google are running the world. Maybe you should probably work in technology. So just looking and seeing where the future is, when you see these glaring opportunities, make sure you go and grasp them.
Yes, man. The next one I have for you is, what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
So a lot like one of your other podcast members, Kelly Lampkin, who actually connected me to you, I work in sales. So although I run my startup and I run MinnoTank, I definitely am all about sales and making business happen, because as a guy who's not great at the software development, I make money happen. So my piece of advice would be, qualify the question no. Qualify and question the word no. When someone tells you no, whether it's you're being hired or someone did not hire you, or you're trying to make a deal, or you can't pass this way, I like to qualify that with the question, why? Because oftentimes there really isn't much reason, or if there is a reason, if you know what the reason is, you can change, fix, move around it, and surmount it, and then you can accomplish what you wanted to accomplish in the beginning. You can actually find a solution between you. But I think too many people take the response no and allow that to end. And I'm always challenging my team, and I challenge people around me to question when you hear the word no and say why, and see if there's a way for you to get around that.
And what is your best piece of overall business advice? So not necessarily industry specific.
Yep, it's not industry specific. I'd say my best piece of advice is be tenacious. So when I was playing roller hockey in high school, or I think this is actually in middle school, my coach taught me this word, and he said, I want all of you to be tenacious. And I had no idea what the word was. And so I was really nervous, and I was like, okay, so uneducated, I got to learn what this word is. And so I went home, and I realized, tenacity is basically grit. It's not giving up. And my favorite examples, obviously, I live in the tech community. So whether you're the Collison brothers who went into their customers' offices and installed their API, and the Collison brothers are the gentlemen who founded Stripe, one of the most successful tech startups in the West Coast and in the world, or whether you run the runway. I just listened to one of the podcasts about the founder of Rent the Runway. And, she cold called, and cold walked into the offices of some of the most powerful brands out there. Neiman Marcus, huge designer people, because she said she wouldn't accept the first no. She didn't accept the 10th no. She'll take 15, 20, 30, 50 no's until she gets an answer that she wants, which is being tenacious. So just keeping going.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
I would have said to myself, study some computers. I just turned 28 earlier this month. And I wish I would have studied more computer science or had a better understanding of how computers work, because in reality, I don't care what you do. I would be very impressed if you could find any industry that does not interface with computers. I would, or some kind of technology. I would say it's almost impossible in today's world. And so whatever you're doing, or even if you're an adult, even if you're in the workforce, I would say find a way to start, whether it's software, whether it's networking, just understanding how it works brings you to a higher echelon of understanding the things that are going on around you. Because I think that's a big problem for a lot of non-technical startup founders, or even for business owners who just kind of see it as this wizardry and this witchcraft that just works sometimes, and other times it doesn't. And I have to pay someone lots and lots of money when it doesn't work. But if you understood it a little better, maybe it wouldn't cost you so much. So my response is, and this is coming from someone, by the way, who has 2 degrees in Mandarin Chinese, I suggest study computers as well.
Yeah, 100%. I thought that too. I'm 27 now, and I was like, dude, I should have been learning how to code or something back in the day. Just like not even like fully learning, but just like understanding it,
At least getting like a base knowledge.
For sure.
At least understanding how to communicate with your developers. Because that's one of the problems that I had. So I'm a non-technical founder of MinnoTank, and one of the problems is, for a very long time, I actually just finished a coding boot camp, which I highly suggest. But I didn't understand front end, back end. I didn't understand what JavaScript, HTML, CSS were. Had no idea. And now that I do, I'm able to communicate the things that I want in their language, which is so much better.
And so kind of going a little bit down a different path here. The next one I have for you is, in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
I thought about this question for a long time. And I thought to myself, I wanted to say friendship, but I thought that sounded lame and banal. And so I think the better response is community, because especially as an entrepreneur, and I'm specifically a tech entrepreneur. So, you have to remember, although you hear about some amazing Mark Zuckerbergs, 99% of us fail. So there's lots of us who are out here struggling together. And you can't expect your local friend group to be able to be able to support you in everything. They can't always understand what you're going through, but you can build a community around you that has, some people to support you emotionally, some people to support you business-wise, who to celebrate things with. And just building that community for yourself, wherever you are, I think is really good for you as a person, not just as a business person, but as a person and a human. So my suggestion is, like, the key to happiness is build a community that helps you go through the world.
Mm. And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
Oh, goodness. So this is kind of embarrassing. So I work in like finance, economics, numbers, and investing all day long. So when I read, I love to escape that. Although I do read business books, like I read like everybody else. I really like fantasy books. So there's a book called, I'm actually finishing, it's not a trilogy, I don't know what you call it. Like it's a tome that has like 17 books. I'm on like number 7. But it's by Terry Goodkind. And at least the first book was The Wizard's First Rule. And the whole theory around this book is talking about wizards, and it's so funny, it's so lame. It's so weird. Anyway, it's fantasy and fiction. And it talks about all these rules that wizards have built, which the wizards are the smartest people in society, and so they built all these rules. And the wizard's first rule is, people will believe what they want to believe. And they will, and I kind of take that back to fake it till you make it kind of thing. Like if you're not there yet, sell it like you're there yet, get there by a delivery date and make it happen. But I guess that's something I learned from the book. It's just, I read a lot of dorky stuff.
I got to start getting into some fiction. I've never gotten into it, man, but I think there is obviously, like you just said, there are things to be learned even from the fictional land. But I just haven't given it a chance really. So the next one I have for you, man, is what is your favorite quote and why?
So my favorite quote, this one I really like, and I was using it a lot while I created the MinnoTank like visual. So we did 36 episodes of different pitches, and I would always tell my startups before they started, I would say, brevity is the soul of wit. And do you know who that's by? Do you remember that one?
No, but I really like it, and I agree with it.
So it's by Mr. William Shakespeare.
So
brevity is the soul of wit. It really makes you think to yourself. The more brief you can be, the more witty you are. And I like to use that when it comes to presenting or pitching yourself or your business, because what we do all day long at MinnoTank is we connect tech startups and investors. So we're always trying to tell them, pitch shorter, take less amount of time. If you can't communicate your concept in under 60 seconds, you don't know what you're talking about. So think, be brief, and that's witty and intelligent, and then people respect and know what you're doing. So brevity is the soul of wit, William Shakespeare.
Yeah, man, I could not agree more. Thank you so much for coming on. The last one I have for you before we let you go is, where is the best place for people to find you online?
So the very best place to find me is on LinkedIn. You can look for Ken G. Barton. Also, you can go to MinnoTank.com. There's no W, so it's MinnoTank.com. And Tyler, you were an inspiration for me. So after getting the opportunity to come on your podcast, MinnoTank recently launched a podcast as well. And we've done some really cool interviews, so we're totally copying you. But like, what do they say about copying? It's like the highest form of
I know what you're.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I don't know the exact words, but I know what you're saying.
What I'm saying is, I'm not stealing you. Like, I'm just respecting you by doing the same thing you are.
Yes.
So yeah, you can find me online there, and people can find my email if they try.
Awesome, man. Thanks again for jumping on.
Thank you, Tyler.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.